Donald Trump and Maine Governor Janet Mills, the Democrat, are wrestling in a very public way. Wrestling over trans, so-called, in public school sports, public money from the feds, and the safety of kids. And guess what? This fight is about to get very ugly. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV, and here's the story. As Amber Harding reports for Outkick News, Maine's political class again has hoisted the flag of defiance, this time thumbing their noses at a Trump Department of Education, DOE, Title IX compliance mandate that would bar biological males from competing in girls' sports. On this troubling matter, Trump and Mills last month sparred at the White House.
Is Maine here, the governor of Maine?
Well, down here.
Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good, I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one.
He gave her a deadline of March 29th to positively respond. And now, of course, the deadline is up, and Mills, the Maine Department of Education, MDOE, the Maine Principals Association, MPA, and Greeley High School have all said, nah, thanks but no thanks, Donald. Risking, of course, a showdown, not only with the Department of Education on the federal side, but the Federal Department of Justice. It's a flashpoint story, the layers of which are very deep. And if you pull them back, you'll find a rancid core of unconstitutional meddling and a textbook case of the tragedy of the commons, courtesy of the feds seizing your tax dollars and Maine forcing its citizens to fund their corrupt public education system as well. Let's start with the feds. The Trump administration in February issued a nationwide order to keep boys out of girls' sports, claiming it to be a Title IX, that being part of the 1972 Federal Education Amendments Act, a Title IX mandate to protect fairness in females' students' positions at schools. Then on February 21st, the DOE launched an investigation after a trans-identifying male snagged a girls' high school pole vaulting title in Maine. Finding the state in violation, they demanded compliance within 10 days, or the state would face the loss of federal funds. Maine's response? A collective shrug, citing the state's Human Rights Act, which they say forbids them from signing on to Trump's edict. Now, the feds are rattling sabers, threatening Department of Justice action. It sounds like a classic state-federal tug-of-war, doesn't it? But here's the kicker. The Department of Education shouldn't even exist on a federal level. Nowhere in the Constitution, you know, that dusty old document supposed to be the limits of the federal government. Well, the Constitution doesn't grant the federal government any power to meddle in education. The 10th Amendment slams the door shut. Powers not delegated to the feds are reserved to the states or the people. Education? Well, that's a state gig. Or better yet, it's a private one. Yeah, yet here we are, with a federal agency born of Jimmy Carter's 1979 overreach, now playing puppet master with billions of taxpayer dollars, dictating terms to local schools. Unconstitutional? You bet. But don't expect the Beltway crowd to admit it. They're too busy counting your money and offering lip service about so-called efficiency to people. And that money is the poison and the leverage, regardless of how one might feel about the absurd notion of boys pretending to be girls in girls' sports. Federal funding sucked from taxpayers coast to coast creates a tragedy of the commons that forces multitudes to chip in to a government-run system, and from which not everyone can get what he or she wants. Mainers who support girls-only sports, well, they're out of luck. And then, of course, there are the folks who cheer for trans inclusion. Well, they're going to argue as well. And all of this applies to all Americans, since the United States Department of Education wraps its tentacles around everyone. The tax trough turns education into a political thunderdome where rival factions slug it out for control and the losers still pay. It's not a marketplace of ideas at all. It's a coerced monopoly where dissenters are shackled to the majority's whim, or worse, the Fed's whim, the Fed's fiat. Harding notes, quote, Maine Representative Laurel Libby, who was censured by the Maine House of Representatives for speaking out against the participation of transgender athletes in girls' sports, says she's disappointed in Governor Janet Mills, the MPA, and Maine Democrats. Governor Janet Mills, Speaker Ryan Fecteau, and the rest of Maine's Democrat majority have chosen an extremist agenda over sanity, ignoring the rights and safety of Maine women and girls, Libby said in a statement to Outkick. Despite countless pleas from their constituents and warnings from President Trump, Maine Democrats continue to force our girls to compete against biological males, effectively erasing them, end quote. And Libby added, quote, as a result of their refusal to comply with President Trump's executive order and protect Maine girls, they will inevitably have to face the warranted repercussions from the Department of Justice, recklessly risking hundreds of millions in federal funding for Maine students, end quote. You know, in this not-so-sporting battle, everyone is a casualty because the state is the referee. So, what's the fix for all of this? First, scrap the federal Department of Education. For real. End all federal education funding. Let states, or better yet, individuals, decide about the education of their kids. Maine could fund its schools without Uncle Sam's leash, and parents could choose systems that match their values and don't have to match some forced consensus. Yeah, you know, another good idea would be to get rid of Department of Justice threats on this, unless people are not being protected equally according to the 14th Amendment. The Constitution demands all this, and reason screams for it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe. Find us at Rumble, where they don't censor us. Please share the videos far and wide with friends whom you think might be interested in this. Also, find us on YouTube, where, yes, they are censorious. Find us all the time inside Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, and on X. And please visit the MRC-TV website. That's MRCTV.org, MRCTV.org. Open up a new tab, head on over there, see what the whole team is doing, and please consider donating to the Media Research Center and checking out the store. If you want to find me, I am at Gardner Goldsmith on Gab, and you can find me on X as at Gard Goldsmith. Thanks again for watching, and please share. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.